Well, good morning. I'm also very happy to see so many familiar faces and many new faces as well. So, welcome here. Maybe before I go into the content, let me just explain a few things. What seemed like a bit of a confusing setup at this Wittgenstein Center. So it was originally established at the basis of the Wittgenstein Prize 2010, which is the highest Austrian science prize. And the idea was to bring the groups that exist already in the Vienna area work on demography together under one roof, which is the YASA World Population Program. It is the Vienna Institute of Demography. And then a university pillar. I was a half-time professor, full professor, half-time here at this University of Economics with one assistantship. So always the WU pillar has been the weakest of the Wittgenstein Center. And when it came up, like there has been at the moment some reshuffling in the Austrian university system, universities receiving additional fundings to strengthen their expertise and in certain fields. The University of Vienna has come up with an extremely attractive proposal that we simply couldn't resist, which was to build up a separate department of demography with 3 professorships and lots of assistantships. And also with the prospect of building their own Vienna school, graduate school in demography, so a doctoral school in demography, and an English language master's program that likely will be demography and sustainable development. All these things are still in the process of being sorted out, but it was said we've already started by the 1st of October with me formally moving to the University of Vienna. So our premises are still here at the WU, but over the course of this year we have to move out. Unfortunately, these wonderful conference facilities in the library, these buildings, you see, will still be on very good terms with the University of Economics. And as far as I see, next year's conference will still be here and for the further future we'll see. But overall, this is really a significant strengthening of demography, not only in the Austrian or German-speaking context, but I think on a European scale. Okay, let's come to the topic of the conference. Why should demographers look into human well-being? Well, let me start with an experience that I had over the last 3 years. You probably know that the UN, the United Nations, in their General Assembly in 2015 settled on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Actually, this button that you may wonder what it is, like every Sustainable Development Goal has a specific color, and so this is the spectrum of colors. And they are not just goals for developing countries, they are not just environmental goals, but they really fit together what should be the priorities, policy priorities for all countries on Earth in terms of ranging from health, human well-being, education, poverty issues, to jobs and economic goals, to, of course, environmental goals, prominently climate change, but equally important, biodiversity, water, and many of the other things. So the UN, for the first time in its history, for the monitoring of the progress of the Sustainable Development Goals, entrusted the assessment every 4 years to an independent group of scientists. So 15 scientists were nominated and then appointed by the Secretary General to produce what we presented in September of this year, the Global Sustainable Development Report. I was part of a group of 15 people, but equally men and women from all continents of the world. But what was even more difficult, all kinds of scientific disciplines. So it took us quite a while to learn to understand each other, like the primary concerns of a hydrologist, and a nutritional scientist, and a health expert, and the demography, like myself. But what we quite soon came to a joint view of the world is that in the end, what matters is human well-being, long-term human well-being, or if you want, sustainable human well-being. This is clean water is not an end in itself, but clean water matters because it matters for human health, it matters for human well-being. And of course, the whole biosphere, it's not, I mean, in the end, it is an anthropocentric view of the world, but we need the life support system. We need an intact biodiversity to assure our future quality of life and well-being on this planet. So this is the common understanding here. And then you can ask yourself, what is the role of demography? And when we planned this conference, we really thought about quite like 3 essential contributions of demography, and they are really probably more important than many other disciplinary perspectives. The first is demography plays a key role in defining what is human well-being, so the indicator of human well-being. And later this morning I will give you a presentation of this indicator that we are developing under my ERC project on sustainable human well-being. But then it's also the differential well-being, that we are better set up than most other disciplines to study, like how does well-being differ by age, by gender, by level of education, by place of residence. That's what we do with demographic differentials all the time. So demographic differential well-being is really something that we are very able, and not so many demographers are yet entering this field, so we hope that this conference could help. But then when we go to the determinants of well-being, again, our reconstructed population series, our reconstructed human capital, gives us essential data and essential empirical support to empirically estimate the determinant of human well-being, so to say the well-being production function, if you want. And then when we look to the future, again, demography, more than many other disciplines, or probably I would say that any other social science, can give you long-term forecasts, alternative scenarios with a relatively narrow range of uncertainty about what future societies will be like, and what is going to be the adaptive capacity of human populations in the future to already unavoidable climate change, for instance. So we had a series of publications here using demographic methods to forecast the resilience of human populations and sort of the drivers of human well-being in the future in a world that experiences climate change, severe biodiversity loss, and so on. So the mistake that you see so often done by very prominent organizations, even the World Health Organization has estimated how many million of additional malaria deaths there may be due to climate change. What they do, they take the climate of the year 2070 or 80, it is projected by climate models, and then they match it not with the projected public health capabilities and populations of the future, but with today's populations and public health capabilities. Of course, this makes no sense. We also need to equally forecast the societies of the future to match future climate conditions with future social, economic, and population conditions. And that's really what demographers also are good in doing and can do more than other scientists. So I think I've hoped I motivated you a bit. And now I'll hand over to Sonia, who is the real organizer of this conference. Thank you.
Welcome everyone. After months of organization, it's really exciting to see all of you here. I have some administrative things to say. I'll try to be quick, so bear with me. First of all, there's a change in the program. The talk by Bernhard Hammer, which was originally scheduled for session 5, will actually take place in session 3. It will be swapped with the talk of John Weeks. So John Weeks' talk will be in session 5, and Bernhard Binder-Hammer's talk will be in session 3. Also, I want to thank all the session chairs that are here today that will help us stick to the time schedule and also lead the discussion. Our plan is to have 12 minutes for each presentation and then have the discussion at the end of each session. And for the discussion, we would kindly ask all the presenters and the chairs to take a seat here at the podium. Petra also asked me to let you know that each of the presenters should upload their slides on this computer at latest before each session, and a break before each session. Heike or someone else from the admin team will be here to help you with that. As every year, we would like to put the slides online after the conference. So if you don't want us to do that, please let us know, or simply delete your slides from the computer, then we know. Also, you should have received an email already where we announced that there will be videos taken and photos taken at the conference. And we also plan to tweet them. The admin team will approach you, or maybe some of them have approached you already, to fill in a form of consent, where you also have the opportunity, of course, to tell us if you don't want that to happen. For those of you who will join us for dinner today, we kindly ask you to bring your badge, because that serves somehow as an entrance ticket. Also, there are complimentary public transport tickets that you can pick up at the reception desk. Also, please wear your badge for the coffee breaks and for the lunch breaks, because that way the catering staff can distinguish you from some hungry students, because this is quite a public place here. Okay, is there anything else on my long list? Yeah, very important. For those of you who are on Twitter, please tweet. We're very happy to get the message out there. We even made our own Twitter hashtag, which is WIC 2019. So hashtag WIC 2019. We also have some volunteers from our own staff here that will take photos from the presentations, and we'll upload them, so feel free to retweet them. So finally, if you have any questions, Petra, I hope I didn't forget anything. If you have any questions, please come find us. I'll be around all day. Our admin staff will be around all the time. And I hope to catch up with most of you during the conference. Thanks.
Hello and welcome. Maybe I should introduce myself a bit. I'm one of the organizers. My name is Raya Mitarak. Maybe the first tweet you might want to tweet is about submission to the Vienna yearbook, which you might have seen in your pack. If you notice in the back, we also have like some example of the copies of the yearbook, which we normally publish after the conference. So the theme of the yearbook, which you can think of it as a special issue in a journal. We just have one issue per year. So it's going to be about the theme of this conference, which is demographic aspects of human well-being. And I believe that it could have quite a wide readership, because we know that well-being is a multidisciplinary topic, but we have a uniqueness in focusing on the demographic aspects. So it's sort of, I guess Wolfgang already mentioned that we have a lot of tools and methodologies in demography that we could apply to the study of human well-being, be it life expectancy, life table, and also the concept like life course, for example. So I think it's going to be quite a focus and unique spatial issues. So the contribution would come from all of you, both the oral presenters and also the poster presenters. So the deadline for submission, so you're going to hear from us later on as well, but it's going to be 31st of March next year. And why would you want to submit to the Vienna yearbook? There's a couple of reasons. Well, one thing, it's not the only important thing, but one thing, it's free. Everything is free. The submission process and the copy editing, and also, of course, the publication. It's open access, so both online and also these copies are free, and it's very, very widely distributed. So we always distribute and advertise in major demographic conferences like the Population Association of America. Next year we would have the European Population Conference and so on. So yeah, so it's widely read, and also we also send it to the people in our contact as well. And also if your article comes in first, we would do the online publish first. You don't have to wait for the whole issue to be completed. So it's going to be quite visible as well. So yes, so please do send your work to us. And also I would approach you also for another thing. So because many of you, all of you are the experts on this topic. So we would like you to ask for your help also to be a reviewer, because that's also what we commonly do too, because we have the expert in the field right here. So I would like to ask for your help on that as well. Should we move to the next? Yeah. So I guess the opening has finished, so we can keep our time very, very well. So we would like to start the first session straight away with the keynote speech from Professor Richard Lucas. Who is there, sorry. Yeah. So Professor Richard Lucas is a professor of psychology from Michigan State University, and you are also the research professor at the German Institute of Economic Research. And we are very delighted actually to have you here, because Richard is an expert in the field of subjective well-being. So we, as we said, it's quite a new thing for us, for demography, to enter into this field, and the work that you have done on causes, consequences, and so particularly on the measurement of well-being, it's what we are very interested to learn from you. And also Richard is also work a lot on how to measure the quality of the measurement, right? And also another thing that I'm interested in your work is also the replication of the work. So you did mention that it's quite rare in psychology to focus on replicability of the research. It's also quite, I mean, we try also in demography our best, but it's not always that our population projections can be replicated, but it's sort of, yes, we try that as well. So what you're talking to us today is something that I'm very excited to learn. It's about the measurement of happiness. And also you're also comparing between experiential work with the global report. So I would like to welcome you. So I would show high five for the 5 minutes left. And so you have 30 minutes, and then we have the discussion later on. Thank you so much.